do the opposite of selling. Rather than trying to close a sale, attempt to open a relationship and be genuinely interested in how people are thinking and feeling and how they make decisions.
Peter Anthony, welcome to the show. How are you doing today in Australia in this heat?
Fantastic, Annie. Good morning for your listeners. Good afternoon for folks from my part of the world. It's great to be with you.
I'm excited to be talking about collaboration today. And where I wanted to start was when I was reading about you, when I was researching you, you said something so interesting. And I want to go through all these 4 things about collaboration and to talk about each of them. And that's where I want to start. Let's define collaboration. And then what do you mean by through collaborations, you will build relationships faster?
What does that mean? Well, two great questions. And it's taken me almost half a lifetime to understand the answers. Collaboration, when you're having a collaborative conversation or you're in a collaborative relationship, it means that both people in the relationship or both people in the conversation are interested in achieving each other's goals. So I'm having a collaborative conversation with you, Annie. It means that I'm talking with you with a deliberate intention and a goal to help you get what you want in your life, or what you want in this conversation, what you want in this relationship. And you are also very intent on me getting what I want from the conversation or the relationship. Because when you think about relationships, a relationship is basically a series of conversations. And I'll ask your listeners to think about the great relationships they have, whether they're personal relationships, romantic relationships, or business relationships. You'll find the quality of the relationship is based on the quality of the conversations. And the people that you find most fulfilling and most enriching in your life are people that fill you up when you talk to them. You love being around them because you know that they've got your best interests at heart and they've got your best interests at heart. So collaboration is the essence of a really effective and enjoyable relationship. That's how I define it. Yeah.
I have not thought about how almost every conversation, in a sense of having their best interest and also having your best interest, is a collaboration in some way. It depends on how you define it. But how can we build relationships faster? What does it mean to build relationships faster and more deeper through collaboration? How does it look?
Well, the way that it happens faster is that most people do one or two things. They either avoid having conversations, which is what we're doing now on a global scale. Particularly since COVID, we are a lot more introverted, we're a lot more anxious and depressed, and we're less likely to talk to each other at all. So less conversations are taking place. When we do have a conversation, or when we choose to have conversations, the way things happen faster is that when people understand that you've got a deliberately positive intent in talking to them, having a conversation with them, the outcome happens faster because everyone you're in a relationship with is looking for something. I mean, I'd ask your listeners to think about things that they're looking for in their life. And most of the things your listeners are looking for in life, they get from other people, not from being by themselves. Even the most introverted people in the world, they still want high quality relationships with people. There might be less people, but they want those great relationships. So things happen faster because people want them. The people you're talking to want things from you, just like you want things from them. So when you connect on that collaborative level and people trust you and you're authentic, things will happen faster.
You are absolutely right. You have to collaborate with people who have similar intentions and similar values for the conversation to work.
You want to make it a very deliberate intention, Annie. You want to be deliberate in your intentions. So, I'm really keen to have an open, collaborative conversation with you. And the other 2 key intentions before the conversation starts are to be authentic, which means to be yourself and be genuine. And the 3rd important intention is to be optimistic in terms of that you can make things better together. And the essence of a relationship is having a better life with someone than without them. Whether that's a romantic life or a business life or even a friendship, life is better with that person. And that's the essence of a collaborative relationship, and a collaborative conversation helps you make that happen.
I want to definitely go back to authenticity because I just had a few questions about it. But let's move on to the second, which is you are going to sell without selling. What does it mean to sell without even selling? Because in today's world, we are all trying to sell something like so hard, and majority of the people are not selling because of how much they are trying. What do you mean by selling without even trying to sell?
Well, what I mean is that when someone that you're talking to feels like you're selling to them, one or all of three things is going to happen. They're going to distance themselves from you. They're going to get cynical about anything that you say, and they're going to put downward pressure on rates and fees and put more pressure on the relationship if they feel like they're being sold to. And I'd ask your listeners, when you feel like somebody is selling something to you, how do you feel? And that's probably how you feel. So by selling without selling, I mean, do the opposite of selling. Rather than trying to close a sale, attempt to open a relationship and be genuinely interested in how people are thinking and feeling and how they make decisions. And it may be that your recommendation isn't the right one for them, and that's a good thing. There's a few billion people in the world to connect with and to relate to. There's plenty of people to find a good relationship or a good commercial arrangement with. So what you'll find is that everything you know about traditional selling, if you do the opposite, it will work. That's what I mean by selling without selling.
It's almost like in everything in life, like not do whatever the majority is doing and you will be better off. Just like do what feels right rather than what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure if you get if you're having a meditation or you're having a very quiet moment and reflecting, you'll be aware that that nothing that you've bought from anyone has been sold to you. That just does not work. It's the essence of how we relate with each other, that we are yearning to collaborate. And people, you'll find that when you do take this spirit and this intention into the world, people will flock to you because you're a high quality person looking for high quality relationships, and you're genuinely interested in helping them achieve their outcomes. And there's one secret I haven't actually told you yet, Annie, that I was going to tell you earlier. Do you know what that is?
What it is?
It's who I work for, because the way I look at the world, I work for the universe and the universe works for me. So I work for the universe in terms of giving people that I work with and people that I deal with and people that I meet as much value as I can. And sometimes it doesn't come back from them, it comes back from somewhere else. So I like to think of my boss as the universe. So I'm working for anyone, I'm working for the universe.
I believe that. The third point I wanted to make, I think we covered it a little bit, which is like we're going to save time and things going to happen quicker because of the intention is set and we're on the same page. What would you like to add on, like, how are we saving time and how are things happening quicker?
Well, things are happening quicker. Initially, it takes more time. Okay. So when you're first engaging with someone, it takes longer. But once you establish the relationship and you've got that authentic trust, then things happen faster. So it's slower at first, but then it happens faster. So if you think you're looking towards getting an agreement with somebody or understanding somebody or getting a proposed venture up with somebody, if you try the old route, the old selling way, that might take you 6 months to get there. Whereas if you try the collaborative way, it will take longer initially because you're investing more time in the relationship. But once that relationship is built, then things happen faster. You mentioned earlier that a lot of your listeners are women, and what I found in teaching this, and I've been teaching collaboration now for 20 years in 12 different countries for thousands of people, everywhere from Cairo to Scotland to Los Angeles to Poland. I've been all over the world teaching this. And what I find is that this message tends to resonate more with women than with men. Women, I feel, I've got no evidence on this apart from my personal experience, are more natural collaborators. And I think they get a sense of relationship better than men do. That's just, and no evidence based on that apart from just personal experience.
How can we? Sometimes people understand authenticity as saying whatever they think and talking about whatever they are going through and just being honest.
Yes.
about anything that they think.
Yes.
I believe that authenticity and is to just almost show up as the best version of yourself. This is how I define it. How can people be authentic?
Yeah.
What does authenticity mean to you? And how can they stop being overly negative and like too honest and just show up as best selves?
Yeah, like almost, oversharing, just telling you too much too quickly.
Yes, because I believe I see it as like people call authenticity as like oversharing. I don't like that. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, and it's not relevant. I mean, some of the things people share with me, I think that's not relevant to our relationship. It doesn't really matter. I think you're sharing that with me. I mean, it's why are you doing that? It's bizarre. it's crazy. The best work that's been done on authenticity hasn't been done by me. It's been done by Brené Brown, who many of your listeners would know. She's an American researcher, originally on shame, and has done a stack of work on authenticity. And I love the way she describes it. She says, being authentic takes courage, and courage comes from the ancient Latin word cur, C-U-R, which means to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. So it's about being genuine in your approach. And authentic's also a dial, Annie. I mean, you're not going to be completely vulnerable and authentic with everybody. You're going to save some parts for some relationships, other parts for others. But the idea is you're being genuine, you're being yourself. And I love what Carl Jung said here when he said there's an inner self that's beckoning you on a call to adventure. You're on your adventure, I'm on my adventure, your listeners are on their adventures. And when you listen to your own heart, listen to your own call to adventure, that's going to help you be the authentic person you need to be to go on the journey that you're called to be on. And for me, that's about relating and collaborating with people. That's what makes the journey more enjoyable and more successful at the same time.
Whatever we're teaching, we were either naturally good at it or really bad at it, and we needed to learn it. So in order to teach others, how was it for you? How did you find yourself talking and teaching and guiding others about collaborations? How did it start for you?
How it started for me was I was in a sales role, and I was taught selling, and I found the more I sold, or the more I tried to sell, the less I sold. I had a mortgage, I had a young family, I had a lot of bills to pay, and I had to find a way of creating commercial relationships that were profitable, so I could afford my family and afford the lifestyle that I'd chosen to have. And I stumbled across collaboration after trying selling, and I then, over a period of 10 years, developed the approach. I got so good at it, I began teaching the approach. I wrote a book on it. I went back to university and did a master's in communication, focusing on collaboration. So it was very much a mission, and it's been a very profitable mission. I mean, the universe has worked for me. I get to run workshops in different parts of the world. I get to consult to organizations. I'm looking towards learning more about collaboration. And fortunately, it's a message that is very current now, because we've never collaborated less, never talked to each other less. We're more alienated, we're more depressed, we're more anxious than ever before. So it's a message that's really resonating with people.
You have been through a lot of challenges, and I'm pretty sure you're going through challenges even today, maybe not every day, but here, for example, COVID happens and some things outside of our control happens. Do you have any process? Because coaches do have to coach themselves as well. When something challenging happens in your life, do you have any steps you go through or rituals you do or routines? How do you guide yourself out of challenging situations?
That's a great question. I do have a routine. I've developed a routine. What works for me is, and it's all about the morning. It's all about the morning. So what I do usually at dawn or around dawn is I like to have a meditation at dawn, because the way that I learn to meditate, it's like as the sun's rising, I say a Buddhist prayer, which is about invoking the Lama. which is about O Lama, care for me, from the blossoming lotus, bottom of devotion, the bottom of my heart, rise up, O compassionate Lama. So I'm asking for my compassion to rise up in me. And I sit with that at dawn in the morning, and I find when I'm really clear, when my mind is really clear, it's like one of those snow cones that gets really shook up, and all the snow settles, and I can see things more clearly. So I do that for between, depends how busy I am, between 20 minutes and an hour a morning. And then because I live close to the ocean, I love to jump into the ocean and swim, get into nature and get some exercise, and swim with my friends. And then I have coffee with my friends afterwards. And by then it's about 8 a.m., 7:30, 8 a.m., and that's my day started. So I've had my meditation, I've had my exercise, I've had my nature, if you like, and I've had my social interaction with my swimming friends. And then the day can start. And what I do then is I plan the day the night before. And what I do is I take some advice I learned from President Obama when he was asked how he would become president. Because he was a senator from Illinois one day and a president the next. And he said, well, I'm just going to write out a list of what the president would do, and I'm going to get up in the morning and I wake up and execute. I just think, wake up and execute. I just do what I planned the night before. I don't even question it, just do it. And then I might review it that night, but I'm just going to execute that day. Mm-hmm. That's a combination of working things, health things, family things. That could be like business issues I've got to deal with too. I just execute. Don't even question it, just get it done. But the secret I have found is how the morning works is how the day works. That's what I found works for me.
Not everyone is a people's person. I'm not saying that they don't care about people. People might care about other people, but they might not be good with conversations. So if they're listening to us and they're like almost confused, like where should I start? The four steps and the intentions. If you will give them, if they wake up tomorrow, do the meditation, and they decide to have the conversations, just maybe one intention or one thing to have in mind, just one, a baby step, before they become the expert collaborators, what would the baby step be?
Yeah. The baby step would be, think about someone who you haven't spoken to for a while that you would like to talk to. Could be a friend, it could be a business relationship. Call them, reach out to them, text them, say, hey, I'd love to catch up and have a conversation with you, or just see how you're going, how you're traveling. Be the friend that you would like to have. And just do that. Just do that once. Each day, just reach out to one more person, just one person each day. So in 5 days, you've reached out to 5 people. If you're thinking of a working month, in a month, you've reached out to 20 people. And you just do it one a day, and watch your life dramatically improve. That's one thing. That's just one thing, because they, like you, would like to have better relations with people, better friends, better relationships, talk to more people. They're the same as you. We're all essentially the same. We're all basically looking for the same thing. Now, I love it when someone calls me. I went for a swim at lunchtime today because I couldn't go in the morning because I was too busy doing a very early morning podcast with the US. So I swim at lunchtime. I went for a swim. I was running up and down the beach. After my swim, I bumped this guy. I said, Peter. I said, yeah. So Luke, I haven't seen Luke in 15 years. I said, how are you, mate? We had a really good chat on the beach. And we exchanged we're LinkedIn connections. We're now going to catch up for a conversation in a week. And I haven't seen him in, 10, 15 years. It's awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing him, to seeing what he's up to. Your life will dramatically improve. Just one person a day. One person a day. That's all I'm recommending. One person a day. And they can't be too hard.
One person a day. And how do you measure the success of the conversation?
It's really easy. Just notice how much more you're smiling each day.
Okay.
It's a really easy measure. And you'll
After
be smiling a lot more. Well, when you have more conversations with people, you'll be happier. We are designed to be social beings, but even the most introverted amongst us. I've done a lot of work in psychometrics in this space. Introverts need personal connection too. They have usually less relationships, but they're more intense, whereas extroverts have more relationships, but they're not quite as deep. So whether you're introverted or extroverted, doesn't matter. What really matters is you will feel better, and you'll also, whatever you're attempting to improve in your life, it will improve better when you have more conversations. Romantic relationships will improve, commercial relationships and business relationships will improve, friendships will improve. Your life will get better. It'll just get extraordinarily better. I mean, even I'll give you one bizarre example I had a couple of years ago. I was sitting on a plane from Sydney to London to do some work at a conference there. And this lady was alongside me, and she was reading about buried bones. I thought, this is really weird. I said, I wonder if I ask you, what's this with the bones? And she said, oh, we had a long conversation, like for several hours. She was a forensic archaeologist. She was heading off to, I think it was Sarajevo, to dig up some remains of some bones and be part of the team putting a case together for a war crimes tribunal. And I thought, what an awesome individual to meet. And we stayed connected. She published her book. I helped her promote her book and her work. She became a friend just from a casual conversation on an aircraft. And she is someone I respect enormously. She calls herself the Bone Woman, and she's still going strong now. So it happened just like that, just like so.
I think when we first started the conversation, I and the listeners, we always think about this. For example, we're going to talk about collaboration, which is this big topic, and there are few steps and all the things you can do. But after hearing you, I feel like back to basics. Whatever you need, that's the same thing other people need. This is not something huge. You don't have to think about collaboration. You just think about, I'm going to have an awesome conversation with this person, and everything else will naturally build up. And that's your collaboration. Like you don't need any steps. You just need right intention. You just need to be really present, enjoy the conversation, and be curious. That's your whole answer. Simple to the, like, not challenging, but to this whole topic of collaboration.
And that is, I guess, I mean, I wrote a book on this, but you don't really, you can read the book. I guess I should be pushing the book, but my main message is talk to people more, have more conversations. If you want to learn a lot more about, like, to accelerate that process, you could look at the book, look at the approach. I've also made YouTube videos that are free on how this approach works, because I believe you give the content to the universe pays it back. As I mentioned to you earlier, I have analysed like 6 moments that matter in a collaborative conversation. So I've analysed it very closely, but I've given you the core thought, the core idea, and what will make the biggest difference to people's lives.
So usually that's like, I ask that question later to the conversation, but because we are already on the topic, just say, where can people find you? Because I'm going to link everything down in the show notes, but sometimes people don't like to go there. Where can people find you? What are some ways you're bringing value today? Maybe coaching, group coaching, whatever you do, just tell us about your book and everything.
If they like coaching, if they like workshops, if they like to have a look at the book. I mean, the book's called Collabradabra, rhymes with abracadabra. It's the magic of collaborative conversations. If you want to find me, you want to shoot me an email or ask me about workshops, you can find me, Peter Anthony Consulting. That's my business. There's a website, there's a YouTube channel, there's a Facebook page too. Lots of free content in there. Just Peter Anthony Consulting, all one, no full stops, no dashes. PeterAnthonyConsulting.com. I'd be happy to answer your questions, point you in the right direction, give you as much help as I possibly can.
I'm going to link all of that down in the show notes. I have 3 more questions for you. First one being, when we think about collaborations, we just always think about going somewhere else and finding the people. Do you think we can almost train ourselves by talking to people closest to us, which are our family members? But it can be, the hardest conversations are sometimes with family members. So is it a good idea to train ourselves on family members, or should we just find people, friends, or other people throughout the world?
I'd say everybody.
Okay.
Would be my answer. I mean, some family members think a lot like you, some think very differently than you. You'll find you'll get better outcomes and you'll learn more by talking to people that don't think like you do. So some of the different perspectives, just be really curious. It's like, I'm really curious about why. I mean, I came across someone recently in a workshop, and because we talk about hobbies to break the ice at the beginning of the workshops, and he said, "Oh, I like I like to recreate medieval battles." And he and his friends pick a battle in medieval times. They get dressed up in the same way. They find a hill or a ground that looks like where that battle took place, and they reenact it. I said, "I'm really curious. Why do you do that? That's just bizarre." To learn about why he did that. Where I talked about the bone woman and her forensic archaeology. Find people that are different than you, and you'll learn a lot. You'll open up your mind to a fresh perspective. It doesn't mean you're going to become a forensic archaeologist or start doing medieval battles. It'll just open up your mind, because quite often when we don't feel great, we're more isolated. We're not having a lot of social connection. We're thinking the same way every day. And when you talk to people like this, you think, wow, the world's just a field of possibilities of people doing all sorts of different things. I mean, you look at one of the most popular people in the world now in terms of like social media is Elon Musk. I mean, he wrote PayPal with his brother. He started an electric car company, Tesla. He did SpaceX, getting rockets into space. He did Neuralink, putting links in people's brains. Now he's just bought Twitter. I mean, what a really interesting character. What an amazing combination of things to do in one life. You think, wow, this is really interesting. It just opens up your mind to possibilities, and your little problems don't seem so big anymore. They say, well, I can deal with this. I'm bigger than any problem I've got in front of me. I can work this out.
So be curious with your family members, with your friends, and not just talk about the topics that you know stuff about. Just ask questions about anything with everyone, because sometimes
with everybody, even random people on planes. I mean, I'm a serial collaborator. I'll talk to people in stores. I'll say, "G'day, how you going? How you going today?" And it's bizarre how many people talk back. I mean, some people get scared. They think you're a monster or something. But most, I'm not too bad. What about you? What brings you out this morning? Like down at my swim, at my swim that I go to in the mornings, there's 8,000 members of my swim group. 8,000. And only a couple of hundred swim each morning in the group. When a new person comes, I say, "Hey, g'day, how are you? What brings you down this morning? I'm just curious. What brings you down for a swim today?" And you get their answer and you learn something. It's really, really interesting to connect that way. Just become someone that starts conversations, opens conversations, and enjoys the process. We are meant. We've got a humanistic gene in us that we are. I mean, the reason we evolved past the other Neanderthals and other primitive people like thousands of years ago was that we happened to grow a frontal cortex in our brain that was about language and about talking to people and connecting and collaborating. And that's what brought us forward. It's the essence of the evolutionary spirit. I'm not suggesting anything bizarre or weird. I'm suggesting something that's in the DNA. It's us. This is us. This is who we are. You'll feel better. You'll feel much better. I guarantee it. If it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back.
I agree. My family members and friends make fun of me. Like, why do you have to talk to everyone? Because I'm sometimes my sister just stands there and waits until I talk to the random lady in the street or someone from the store, or like they are so used to it. They don't even care. Sometimes they just keep walking because they know I will be there for like 15 minutes asking about how their day went. So I love the word serial collaborator.
And my children are exactly the same. My children don't like going out with me in Manly where I live because I stop and talk to everybody.
Yes.
Dad, it takes so long to do shopping with you. I say, yeah, I'm talking to people. I'll just talk to random people. People I know, random people, and say, "G'day, how you going?" But it takes longer, but it's much more enjoyable than just rushing in, rushing out again, going back home.
My last question will be about leaving us with a message. Other than that, is there anything that you really wanted to talk about or you wanted to share and I just didn't get the chance to ask you the question?
No, not really. Not really anything. I think I like the conversation to go where it goes. I mean, we haven't got into like the specifics of a collaborative conversation. We've talked about the really important intents, the intentions around that on a broader level, which is cool. But I'm just keen on your listeners getting that message that collaboration is important, and go ahead and have more conversations each day, one a day. And if I get that point across, that's terrific. And if they want to follow up with me and talk to me more or contact me, they can. I'm happy to help them They can read the book. They can check the website. There's YouTube videos, a whole bunch of stuff there they can have a look at.
What would be the message for me and for our listeners? It can be a sentence, just a word, 3 sentences, a quote, a book, a movie, whatever it is, but something that is in your heart right now.
Okay. The one message I would give to people is from an old movie called Shawshank Redemption. Probably 20 years old now. It's a great old film. It's a prison movie, and the movie is about hope. At the end of the movie, one of the characters says, "Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." And what I'd suggest is have lots of hope in your heart and go forth and build great relationships, just one conversation at a time, and watch your life just blossom. That's my one thought.
I agree. I enjoyed the advice and I enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you for being so awesome and so present and going with the flow and going with the conversation and being open about your own challenges and sharing your experience that you have built and for all these decades. Not even you have so much experience, and thank you for sharing it in a simple way that it's easy to understand and easy to digest, because I think the best coaches are people who can explain it in the most simple way. So I really appreciate your time today and this conversation.
Absolute pleasure, Annie, and hope your listeners get some value from what we've been talking about today.
And to our listeners, have a phenomenal rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and until next time.